I am M.EASWARI, working as an assistant professor in Department of Computer Science, Theivanai Ammal College for Women, Autonomous, Villupuram. Now I am going to explain the topic about basis of web designing. Let's see what is meant by web designing. So here all the abstract we are going to see. First heading is web designing, what is meant by web designing, and web browser. Here I am going to tell about definition and also what is difference between web page and website, web page types, and full stack, what is meant by full stack web development, front end, back end, what are all the languages are used in front end and back end, and also database. Here web designing. Web designing means it is a process of planning, conceptualization and arranging content intended for the internet. So it is mainly focused on aesthetic and functional aspects of web designing, which ensures they are visually appealing and user friendly and accessible on various devices. Here simple diagram which represents navigation, content, web friendly, interaction, visual design. So this is how a web designing concept includes. And here you can also make your website more creative and also to the cheaper rate. The supported languages are HTML5, CSS3, Bootstrap, PSD2, Extended HTML, UI, User Interface and User Extend Design. So this is how the web design, that means it is visually appealing and user friendly, and also it also accessible for various devices. Next, what is meant by web browser? Web browser, it is a application software which is used to access and view information on www, that is World Wide Web. It is also known as internet. So it acts as an interface between user web, enabling interaction with websites and their content. So these are all the web browser. Safari, it uses in the that is it supports the software as Mac OS, iOS, and Firefox, Mac OS. These are all the supporting operating system. These are all the application used for web browser, and it here Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Opera software. It also used also in Android server, Android operating system. And this slide represents how web browser works. Here are machine running a web browser. That is, for example, if we open the Google, in the sense Google Chrome, we are opening the Google Chrome and we are requesting for one link, in the sense, for example, what is meant by web browser means we are typing web browser in the address bar. So our browser connects to the server and requests that particular page. Then in server machine running a web browser, and a server will server will sends back the requested pages. This is how a web page works in the internet. And here what is meant by web page? Web page is a single document that is displayed through a web browser. That is, for example, that is Google Chrome, in the sense we are viewing one particular document, that is single document. It is called as web page, and it is a part of website, and it includes text, images, videos, links, interactive elements, and these are primarily written by using HTML, that is hypertext markup language, and also it is styled with a cascading style sheet, and it have a dynamic elements with the help of JavaScript. And web page shows text, images, videos for providing the information, and it also includes the elements in the fonts and buttons that user can click and we can interact with the elements. and a web page has a link that let users move between different pages or sections. And there are two types of web pages, static web page and dynamic web page. Static web page means here it is a simple and it does not contain any dynamic content or interactive element. They are also called as flat or stationary web pages. So these pages stay same and it shows the same content to all users. There is no action take place on the particular web page. So this web page can be created by using the language or HTML and CSS, that is cascading style sheet. For cascading style sheet is used for styling the style the web page. And here some of the example of static web pages are simple portfolio web page, landing page, about us page, personal blogs. So this is how a static web page. This web page contains a same content which will be displayed to all user. It cannot and the content which was presented in this web page can't be edited. Only admin can edit this page. For example, others can also can't able to edit the image, edit the contents. So here how a dynamic web page. First of all, we have seen that what is meant by static web page, and that is the contents are displayed as a same. We can't able to do any interaction. Whereas in dynamic web page, it displays the different content depending upon the user action or other factors, and it make websites are more interactive and engaging. For example, the content such as image, slideshows, videos, user specified data can able to change each time when the page is loaded. For example, social media website, e-commerce website, and other news website. These are all the examples for dynamic web pages. Here how the diagram represents a dynamic web page which connects the client with the web server, and fetches the data and updates from the database server to provide the real-time content and interaction. Here how client web server, client viewing and interact with the web page, text message, it will be sent to the web server stores and share the web pages, and it will be sent to the request has been sent to the database server, and database server data has been stored, logged, and retrieve the data, and it sends back to the web server, and web server returns back to the client. This is how the working of dynamic web pages. Next, dynamic web pages consist of two categories. They are server-side scripting, client-side scripting. Server-side scripting languages are PHP, .NET, JSP. It enables web pages to interact with the database. It can also modify the content and responds to the user action. Whereas client-side scripting, it involves the method called JavaScript or other language like Dart, were used to create web pages. And it can update in the real time based on the events such as user clicks, mouse movement, and keyboard press. This is how the difference between a static web page and dynamic web page. The content which are presented in static web pages are fixed and it does not change unless edited manually. That is, admin have created a static web page in the sense only admin can able to edit the page. Others can't able to edit the page in the form of static web pages. Whereas dynamic web pages in the sense changes can be made based upon the user interaction and server response. And second point, programming language. Programming language involved in static web pages are CSS and HTML, whereas in dynamic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. User interaction will be a little limited or nothing. Whereas dynamic web page, it is a highly response to the user input, and here speed means it loads faster, whereas a dynamic in the sense it might be slower when compared to the static web page. and maintenance in static web pages or manually updates are required, whereas dynamic in the sense easily can able to update with the help of front end or back end logic. Example for static web pages or portfolio website, landing page, and dynamic web page or social media sites, e-commerce platform. These are all the dynamic web pages. And this diagram represents how the web page will be rendering in the internet. So here user can enters the URL in the browser. So browser will sends the request to the DNS, that is domain name service server, and this DNS server translates the domain to IP address, send back to the server, and server gets stores and generates the website, and it sends the response to the user as a website. This is how a web page is working in the internet. Next, what is mean by website? Website, it is a collection of many pages, whereas a web page in the sense it is a single document which we are viewing with the help of HTML and CSS. Here website in the sense it is a collection of web pages, and web pages are digital files that are written using HTML hypertext markup language, which make website are available for every person in the world. It must be stored or hosted on the computer connected to the internet round the clock. So such computers are known as web server. So again I am saying that web page, it is a collection of web pages which is hosted by web server. And web pages are linked with hyperlink and hypertext, and it can share a common interface and design. This website might also contain some additional documents and also files such as images, video, or any digital assets. So here how the web page difference between website and web page. Website in the sense collection of multiple web pages that are interconnected with the help of hyperlinks, whereas a web page, it is a single document that appears in the web browser. So website, second point, these are typically accessed by domain name without any specific extension in the URL, that is uniform resource locator, whereas web pages are accessed through unique uniform resource allocator, which also with the help of file extensions. Third point, building a website requires advanced programming skills and more time, whereas a web page, it is a simpler, and also we can able to create with the basic knowledge of hypertext markup language. Examples of website are Amazon, Google. These are all examples of website, whereas web page it includes a home page, contact page. These are all the web page, that is a single document. This is how full stack web development. What is difference between full stack development and full stack web developers? Full stack web development, which is refers to development of both front end, that is client side, and back end server side portion of web applications in the form of full stack development, whereas full stack web developers are they have ability to design complete web application and website. They work on they'll be working on front end, back end, database, and debugging the web applications or websites. So the technologies are related to full stack development or front end development, back end development, database. So here some of the languages are used in front end. What is meant by front end? In the sense it is a visible part of website or a web application which is responsible for user experience, so that user can directly interact with the front end portion of a web application or website. So here I have listed some of the front end languages. They are hypertext markup language, that is HTML, CSS, this language is used for designing purpose, for the purpose of making web pages presentable, and we can also apply some styles to the web pages. So this is a CSS. And JavaScript, it is one of the famous scripting language which is used for creating sites which will be more interactive to the user, and it is used for enhancing the functionalities of a website, running cool games and web-based software. So backend which is refers to server side development of the web application, whereas a front end, it is a client side development, whereas backend in the sense which is referred for server side development, with a primarily focus how websites are working, and it is a responsible backend is a responsible for managing the database through the queries and API by the client side. And backend portion is built with the sum of libraries, framework and other languages. We can see below what are all the languages which are used to support the backend. So PHP, it is a server-side scripting language which is used for designing the web development. PHP, it is a code executed on the server side, and it is also called a server-side scripting language, PHP. C++, it is a general purpose programming language which is also used for backend language. Java, this is also a high scalable platform language, easily available. These components are easily available in the Java, whereas Python, it is also a programming language which can work quickly, and system or also integrate with more efficiently. And JavaScript, we can also use in both front end and back end language. Node.js, it is open source and cross platform runtime environment which is used for executing the JavaScript code outside the browser. So this can also remember the Node.js. It is not a framework, and it is not a programming language. You can also often use Node.js for building backend services like API, web app, mobile app, and it is also used for production by large companies such as PayPal, Uber, Netflix, Walmart, and so on. Next, it's a database. It is a collection of data which helps in efficient retrieval of information, insertion and deletion of data from the database, and it also organizes the data in the form of table format, view format, schema format, report formats, etc. So here all some of the database, they are Oracle, MongoDB, SQL. Oracle database, it is a collection of database which is treated as a unit. The purpose of this database is used for storing retrieval information related to the query, and it is a database server used to manage the information which comes under the Oracle. Next is MongoDB. MongoDB, this is a most popular NoSQL database, and it is an open source document oriented database. NoSQL means non-relational structured query language. This means a MongoDB, it is not based on table like relational database, that is a structure, but provides an altogether different mechanism for storage and retrieval of data. Next comes under the SQL, structured query language. It is a standard database language which is used for creating, maintaining and retrieve the relational database. So thank you for your patient listening. Thank you all.